Morbid Facts, Part 321. Last January, California man Dharmesh Patel was charged with attempting to murder his family by driving their Tesla off a cliff. But the entire family ended up surviving the 250-foot fall due to the near-perfect safety rating of Tesla cars. 26-year-old Bella Kilmartin has a rare condition that sends her body to sleep when she experiences strong emotions. She once almost drowned in a pool after laughing at a joke caused her to pass out. The euthanasia coaster is a concept for a steel roller coaster designed to kill its passengers. It was created by Lithuanian artist Julijonas Urbanas, who says the goal of his concept is to take lives with elegance and euphoria. The 7 loops put the body under so much stress that the brain is starved of oxygen, since the heart will struggle to pump blood against the tremendous G-force. It's meant to be a fun way to die. Morbid Facts, Part 322. Florida puppeteer Ronald Brown was the host of a kids' TV show in the 1980s called Joy Junction on the Christian network. But he was later found to be a child predator who had tons of CP and often fantasized in online chat rooms about kidnapping, torturing, murdering, and cannibalizing children. He was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in 2012. A UK woman who was taking a nap with her mouth open ended up in the hospital for 3 days after her daughter's dog dropped a deuce in her mouth. This is what a rabies patient looks like when they've already developed symptoms. Rabies causes hydrophobia, where attempting to drink or even just looking at water causes intense clenching throat spasms. This is why rabid animals are often seen foaming at the mouth. Sadly, once a patient reaches this point, there's a 99.9% chance that they will die. Morbid Facts, Part 323. In February of 2013, Canadian tourist Elisa Lam went missing while staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Weeks after her disappearance, police released footage of her last sighting as taken by an elevator surveillance cam. In the video, Elisa can be seen looking outside the elevator and jumping back in, almost like she was trying to hide from somebody. She then proceeds to make incredibly strange hand gestures as if she's trying to feel something that isn't there. Soon enough, guests at the hotel began to complain about low water pressure in their rooms. Some even claimed to management that the water was black and gave off a strange smell. Upon investigating, authorities finally found Elisa's body floating in one of the hotel's water tanks 19 days after she first disappeared. Her death was ultimately ruled an accident, with bipolar disorder being a significant factor. Morbid Facts, Part 324. As part of a grim psychology experiment starting in 1961, triplets Edward Gallen, David Kelman, and Robert Shafran were separated at birth. They were placed with adoptive families who were lower class, middle class, and upper middle class, none of whom were aware of the other siblings or any part of the experiment. According to their adoptive parents, as babies, all 3 of them would bang their heads against the bars of their cribs in distress. This was likely the result of severe separation anxiety, which continued on as the boys got older. By the time they were college age, David and Edward had been in and out of psych wards, while Robert was on probation after his connection to a 1978 murder. A few years later, they were reunited through happenstance but never fully recovered from their mental health issues, as Eddie tragically took his life at the age of 33 after a lifelong battle with depression. Morbid Facts, Part 325. Actress Lisa Robin Kelly, who played Eric's sister on That 70s Show, had a major drinking and drug problem. She was soon replaced on the show and ended up dying of an overdose while in rehab. In 2012, a Missouri family sued the previous owners of the house they purchased after brown recluse spiders started bleeding from the walls. An expert estimated that the house was infested by at least 5,000 of the venomous spiders. In 2020, a Florida man was arrested for allegedly sticking his hand in peanut butter and punching his neighbor who was allergic to nuts. Just last Friday, Idaho Governor Brad Little signed a bill that would allow firing squads to execute death row inmates when lethal injection drugs are unavailable. This is because it's becoming increasingly difficult to obtain these drugs, since pharmaceutical companies don't want their products to be associated with killing people. Right. Morbid Facts, Part 326. After saying he was a murder victim's friend while being interviewed by a local news station, this was the moment when Stephen McDaniel found out on live TV that the body of the woman he killed and dismembered was found.
Do you know anybody any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you seen anything there? Can I just give anything there?
I
I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Authorities soon brought McDaniel in for questioning, where the murderer kept his body eerily still during a 2-hour interrogation. He was possibly in a dissociative state or simply tried to avoid moving at all to prevent the detectives from reading his body language. Stephen pled guilty to the murder in 2014 and is now serving out a life sentence. Morbid Facts, Part 327. 6'9" serial killer Edmund Kemper killed and decapitated at least 10 women throughout the 60s and 70s. In 1973, he brutally murdered his own mother before turning her head into a dartboard. Once he was in prison, Kemper was interviewed by former FBI agent Robert K. Ressler. The guards locked them in a small room, and a panic button under the table would alert them when the interview was over. So after the interview, Ressler hit the button, but no one responded. Noticing his panic, Kemper told him, "If I went apeshit in here, you'd be in a lot of trouble, wouldn't you? I could screw your head off and place it on the table to greet the guards." 30 minutes later, the guards finally entered the room to retrieve the petrified Ressler. Morbid Facts, Part 328. In 2019, a Brazilian gang leader tried escaping from his 73-year prison sentence by disguising himself as his teenage daughter who was visiting. He planned on leaving her behind in his place, but the guards weren't fooled by his disguise and stopped him at the exit. 3 days later, he hung himself. In 1962, a 10-year-old boy from Mexico City found an industrial radioactive capsule and left it in the kitchen cabinet of his home. Within a few months, the boy, his pregnant mother, his 2-year-old sister, and his grandmother all died from severe radiation sickness. In 2013, a Brazilian soccer referee was involved in a heated argument with a player and ended up stabbing him to death. Outraged fans quickly stormed the field before stoning him to death, decapitating him, and putting his head on a stake in the middle of the field. Morbid Facts, Part 329. In 1994, 31-year-old Gloria Ramirez was admitted to a California hospital with symptoms thought to be related to her cervical cancer. She was acting extremely confused and her heart rate was rising rapidly as medical staff did everything they could to return her vital signs to normal. But eventually, nurses noticed a strange oily sheen on Gloria's body, as well as a fruity, garlicky scent emitting from her mouth. Her drawn blood smelled like ammonia and had strange tan-colored particles floating in it. Soon enough, the nurses were having breathing issues and began passing out just from being around her body. Within a few hours, 23 people fell ill and 5 were admitted to the hospital. Ramirez ended up dying from kidney failure and a hazmat crew was called in to transport her body. It turned out she had been taking the extremely toxic substance dimethylsulfone as a home remedy to treat her cancer, the most likely explanation for her poisonous body. Morbid Facts, Part 330. In 1935, Grace McDaniels became a circus freak show star known as the Mule-Faced Woman and was paid $175 per week. Her severe facial deformity was caused by a cancerous lip tumor that ended up taking her life in 1958. In the 12th century Catholic Church, innocence was judged by dunking the suspect's hand in a pot of boiling water. If God had not healed the wound within 3 days, the suspect was found guilty of the crime. In November of 2004, Peter Porco was struck in the head 16 times with an axe while he was asleep in his New York home. But he miraculously woke up the next morning, made breakfast and coffee for himself, and finally fell dead while picking up his newspaper. He had been completely unaware of his battered state and the pools of blood all around him.